preview. Here we go. We're live. Yep. Welcome to the post-match chat then, live on YouTube after today's final pre-season friendly game of the summer. It finished Wrexham 0, Crewe Alexandra 1, a fairly evenly matched game. In the end, two moments in the 75th minute made the big difference. At one end, James Jennings cut across his defender, prodded the ball across goal, nobody there to apply the finishing touch. Crewe immediately went up the other end, and Charlie Kirk cut inside from the left wing and finished low inside the goalkeeper Christian Dibble's far post. A good finish in all fairness. Finished 1-0 to the League 2 visitors. We saw two different formations. Wrexham started 4-2-3-1 and then switched to that now familiar 3-4-3 formation as our new signing Michael Chambers and the new fullback Jazzy Barnum-Bob both were introduced. Lee, it was a funny sort of afternoon really, wasn't it? Plenty to learn, but not necessarily all positives to take forward so far.
No, there was positives I think to take out the game. I think it was a good workout for the lads, getting minutes again. But at this point in the season, at this point of pre-season, it's more about knowing your team and your starting 11 and your formation going into that first game of the season. And I don't know if we know what our best formation is now. Like you said before, I agreed with you. I like that formation of the three centre-backs, the wing-backs, the midfielders and then the three attackers. But after seeing that out there today, it worries me a bit. I mean, obviously the level of teams we come up against aren't going to be as good as Crewe. I thought they were really good today. I thought they impressed me, and they'll be excited for their season. But it just didn't work. The 4-2-3-1 that we tried in the first half worked so much more better. We were more at them. There was more pressure from us. But it's all about trying things in pre-season. I just feel like the last game of pre-season, we should know our best formation. Whether we should be changing at half time and trying two formations, I don't know.
Yeah, it was. I can understand why they're doing it. It's definitely worth having another look at it, and it's another new system. What I liked about the 4-2-3-1 was how well we closed players down in the Crewe half. It's something we didn't see with the 3-4-3 formation.
Yeah.
But then I really didn't like with the 3-4-3 formation, as you said, that we just sat so deep and invited pressure on, almost as if the counter-attack that led to their goal had affected the confidence in a way, which was odd because it's been such a disciplined formation before then. But I think if you're going to take positives from it, it is two different systems we've got to look at, more minutes in the bank for the players, and it was a good chance to see the pros and cons formation. At the end of the day, as we said, we could have come out here, we could have gone for an away game against somebody playing in the Wrexham League, won 5-6, 7-8-0. What would we have actually gained from it? Instead of got lessons to learn from this performance, and hopefully we can take them forward. I think that the two formations plus 4-3-3 means we do have plenty of options, and it also keeps Barrow guessing as well, and that's something important too. We could have gone through the whole pre-season playing that three at the back. Barrow would then have a whole week to prepare for it. We don't know what we're going to be playing on Saturday. Barrow certainly aren't going to be know either.
That's a very good point. When I'm sure there might have been someone here today from Barrow to have a little look at us, to scout us and see how we were going to approach that game. Like you say, if we don't know, they definitely don't know how we're going to set up for that game. But you mentioned there about the change in the formations. It's important that happens now. If we'd have been in our league game, maybe not against Barrow or someone a bit further into the season, and we'd had a problem with this three at the back, the wing-backs formation, then you've got trouble. The fact that we've done it in pre-season, they know a lot more about football than us. They'll be able to identify the problems, won't they?
Yeah.
And how to fix that and get that right, ready for the season. We're just looking at it and seeing that it doesn't work. They'll work on that. Maybe they'll go back to the 4-2-3-1. For me, I preferred that so much more.
Yeah, it was as you said as well. I certainly wouldn't have said that before the game. If you'd asked me which formation was best, I've really enjoyed watching the 3-4-3 and seeing how it's developed. And we've added Chambers to it, who provides the left side. And after looking a bit wobbly to start with, he got more solid towards the end, a bit more what we saw at Fleetwood. You said you saw it on the live stream. I was at Poolfoot Farm, and he looked comfortable in possession. Today he just had one little wild swing, misjudged the flight of the ball, didn't he? And then one at a defender, which I think the referee made the right decision, to be fair, in not giving it. So another 45 minutes in the bank for him, so an option for pre-season. And yet that formation certainly looked the weaker of the two compared to the one that we presumably have just worked on in the week and sprung upon the team for the first time in an actual game today.
Yeah, when you look at, we'll go back to Chambers, and 45 minutes. It's his first in signing for the club. Like you say, he's been training elsewhere, and you brought it up in commentary, and it's a great point that he's been training at other clubs, and playing in games for other clubs, I believe, as well. To get into different he'll have been throwing tactics all over the place all pre-season, but to come here in 45 minutes and only make a couple of mistakes. I like Redmond in that position. I like the front three of it. The back four we all know about. We've kind of got an idea how that's going to work out. If we keep the back four, you've got the question that come up in the commentary of, does Chambers start, or do you keep it as Lawler and Pearson? The other option is right back as well, where you've got a bit of a competitive to that position. Do you play Carrington or do you play Barn and Bob? But that front three behind Hooper, who you expect to be our striker, although McIntosh, when he came on today, I thought he looked good. I like Bobby Grant on the left. No, on the right, sorry.
Yeah.
Harris on the left. And then I like Redmond playing as that creative midfielder. It was about getting him on the ball. There was only one chance that he did it today, and it was as we were attacking the Cop end. He just got the ball and he was able to run, and he had Harris, Grant and Hooper as options. And if we do that to a National League defence, I think it's going to cause problems, isn't it?
Yeah, talking about what we're going to do to National League teams, Ray Jones says sit back in the league like that and we'll struggle. And I've got to agree, it was an odd thing to do. 1-0 down. I know it's only a friendly. The result ultimately doesn't matter. It's all about the performance and learning about the tactics. I get that totally, but I don't want to see a flat back five like that at home. That was, if I'm going to pick a big negative out of the game, it was those last 10 minutes when we just didn't seem to want to take the game to Crewe.
It was exactly that, and I could see the frustration. I could hear the frustration from you, because it was just becoming that back five. And when you're coming up against a team like that and you're losing 1-0, like you say, it's pre-season, the result doesn't really matter. You're going to come up in games where you're going to be 1-0 down. You need to go for it. You can't be sitting back and still not putting pressure on the teams. If we're playing that formation at home, the amount of teams that come here last season, there's got to be about 10, 11 maybe, other teams last season came here and parked the bus, and it was down to us to break them down. How many 1-0s did we get last season? How many times at half time was it 0-0? We can't be going into them type of games with a 5 at the back. It's got to be more attacking. Admittedly, Crewe are a better team than then 10, 11 teams that come here and do park the bus, but it's going to be hard to do it with that sort of formation, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. Danny Duckett came up for the game from Plymouth. He did tell us last week he was on his way. Unfortunately, not the result he was after, not the weather, I guess, as well. I've heard from relatives down in the southwest that you've had idyllic conditions. Not only have you had the heat that we had, I believe, you also had a little bit of a breeze too, which I think we'd have all chopped our hands off for if we were offered some breeze in the last couple of days. He says first half quality, second half not so good, first half back four solid. And I think that's fair. The Crewe had their chances, but Crewe had the possession and won the corners, but they really didn't threaten Christian Dibble's goal in that first half.
We were trying to think of saves that he actually made. I can't remember all too many that he did make in that first half. The majority did come from corners. But I think it's exactly that. The first half was impressive. We were able to... They had a lot more shots and chances in that second half. There was a lot of corners in that game, wasn't there? There was a hell of a lot of corners for Crewe. I just feel we were much more solid, and there was more chance of a counter-attack, looking at it from our point of view rather than Crewe attacking us. When Dibble got that ball, which he did, to be fair, he was good in goal today, I thought, coming for corners, he had that chance to start the counter-attack. He didn't choose to, more times than he actually did. I just feel a counter-attack with that 4-2-3-1, with those wingers, it's a chance to push on a team. It's hard to take positives from that second half performance, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, hopefully it's something to learn from. This is ultimately what the pre-season's about. Whether they've had in mind they're trying to see how they can see a game out, but to me that doesn't work when you're 1-0 down, because the other team are just going to be doing exactly the same thing, friendly or not. And it'll be interesting to see what is learnt from it. I think looking at the comments that are coming through, a few people saying, don't sit back like that, and I think that's the exact point to take forward. Hansi Robs has to score. Unfortunately, final pre-season game finished Wrexham 0, Crewe 1, and in the end probably a fair reflection on the game.
I would go that. I'd say Crewe deserved it. I thought they were very impressive. I don't know what the number of fans there was here today, but they made a lot of noise, to be fair to them. Only a short trip up here, but they impressed me. They're only a week away from the start of the season as well, and I thought they look They looked very good. They stuck with one formation, which I'm a bit gutted we didn't do. But no, they looked good. I was impressed with Powell and what was his name, who actually got the goal? Kirk. I thought he was very good on this side. They were swapping every so often, weren't they, as well? And they both looked comfortable on each side. But you mentioned it as well. Their main striker, Porter, I think it was. Pearson kept him very quiet, which, we know what Pearson's all about. We know how solid he is. And I thought Lawler looked good as well at the back. It was that goal where he backed off, and I thought there was too much backing off in that second half.
Yeah, Hans-Sue Roberts says, not bad. It wasn't a bad score. To be fair, it wasn't a bad performance. In general, it was a very solid performance. It's just would have liked to seen a bit more attacking play. Ethan 555 said, what happened to the Crewe player? I assume you're talking about Nicky Hunt. Mark Harris turned. He had great space to run into. Hunt, to be fair, has done excellently to get a touch on him and went down in absolute agony. We don't know what's happened to him. That's the ultimate answer. We're not medics. He got stretchered off. But the one positive that I think people will take from it is he stood up to get onto the stretcher. Looked certainly in a much better way by the time the medical team, which included Phil Davis, the Wrexham physio, and the stretcher bearers as well as Crewe's medics, by the time they finished dealing with him, he looked a lot more comfortable than what he did when he first went down.
He did. It was good to see him stand up because he went down in a lot of pain, slapping the floor. And there was nothing from Harris. There's nothing like that in it.
No, not at all.
I don't think there was any real contact. You wonder if he's planted his leg and maybe twisted to gain minutes and to learn about their team. And to see a player do that, it's not nice any time, but a week before the start of the season. And like we were saying in commentary, he's quite an age, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's getting on.
He's been around so long, Nicky.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit of a worry, but we wish him the best.
So thank you very much for joining us for the live feed. Hans-Sue Roberts asked how many fans for Crewe. It was about 280, I think, in an attendance of just shy of 1,800. We'll, of course, be back at the racecourse in a week's time. Maybe not the performance. No, I'm not going to say the performance. Maybe not the result we wanted going into that one. But as a summer as a whole, lots of positives to take. If we look at the whole pre-season programme, going back to Kevin Druids, including the tour of Portugal, the new signings to come in. Just because the result today didn't go our way, there's still plenty of reason to be positive going into this
season. I think it's been successful. Like I said in commentary, there's not been any injuries really that we've picked up that have kept players out for a long time or going into the season. Obviously, Rob Lainton's... Was it Fleetwood after that?
Yeah, Fleetwood next.
Then Portugal, which was a good trip. Great for any fans that went out there as well. And obviously the coverage that the media team gave to other fans that didn't go. I thought some of them videos were really good content. And then who did we play? Telford after that. That was a 2-0 win. An impressive performance there. Stoke,
which against their younger players, I thought we more than matched them, in all fairness. By the time they brought their best players on, they were cut above. But yeah, another good test. And then Curzon Ashton in today. It's been a good balance, hasn't it? And lots of minutes in the bank. Marky Mark 123-100 says score somewhere high up the chat. If you can get that high up, it was Crewe 1-0 today. We're just saying that the programme as a whole this summer has brought out plenty of positives. It's new systems that we've seen work on as well. What I've liked, whatever your opinion of the system in the end today, is how quickly the players took it on board. We saw it almost from its birth throughout. Because we were in Portugal, we had the open training session. We got to see exactly when the work started on it. We got to see it sort of come to fruition, and it was interesting to see. People say, "Oh, what does Carl Darlington do at the club? What does Brian Flynn do at the club, etc., etc." Well, we've seen that this pre-season. Carl Darlington has had the team for a few days out in Portugal with Brian Hughes. They've been asked to work on this new system, and they've really got on board what he said.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at when it first came in, it was against Portimonense, wasn't it? And we played so well in that game. And again, it was a 1-0 defeat. But we come away from that game. Obviously, I would say they're a better team than Crewe. And we just come away with so much more positives about it. I think Bobby Grant said in his interview, we've only trained on this formation from the start of the week. And it was such a good performance. There was positives from it. We were getting forward. You just wonder what the difference was when we played it out there in Portugal to play in Crewe here today. It's a difficult one to compare.
Yeah, it's different tests, different teams we're going to come up against. As I said, I'm not going to get too worried. It's a pre-season friendly. I just hope we never see that back five that deep while losing 1-0 at home again. Yeah. I don't think we're going to be fair. Danny Doug says, hope to be back from Plymouth in a month to see the Reds. Good, that's the spirit we want. In a few months to see the Reds, that's the more positive spirit we want. It wasn't the greatest game for you today, Danny, unfortunately, but we're feeling positive. And I mean, yeah, you might say you're supposed to say that, you've got the club tracksuit on, but I am feeling positive. I think we need a good performance next week. Those that can get down to the racecourse really need to get down and get behind the team, because it could be a special season. Kim Ellis has asked, how long is Leighton out for? Truth is, I don't know the exact number on that. Brian Hughes is down in the media room underneath the Glasgow University stand and doing his interviews. I'm sure the local press have asked him that question. The fact is, he hasn't played in pre-season. We know that... I'm sorry, Kim, I am getting to it. So we haven't seen him in pre-season, so we know he's not going to be playing for certainly the first game of the season. We're not expecting him to play first game of the season. He's been doing more work from what I've seen of him around the place. Spoke to him on photo day, I think it was. He says he's getting there. So I guess the short answer that I've made a very complicated way of saying is hopefully no more than just a couple of weeks. If that, maybe he will be ready for the first game of the season, though I would expect to see Christian Dibble in goal.
Yeah, I think we've got to be prepared for Dibble. The thing is with Leighton, he's a great goalkeeper at this level. He was really good for us last season. You don't want to rush him back. When you're seeing Dibble in goal and he's doing a good job and he's done well all pre-season and he's played the whole of pre-season, I don't think let's not rush him back. Let's get him ready. I think I've heard that it's touch and go. I'd be surprised if he plays next week. But like we say, we'll just have to see how that goes. He wasn't out training with the players today. Sometimes you see players that aren't included in the matchday squad just training with them anyway and warming up. He wasn't involved. He was watching from the tunnel, so only the club know, only the player knows himself, will he be ready or not.
And if he's not ready, we do of course have David Stepaniak, who signed in the week, on the bench. I think that is key, isn't it? Don't rush him back, because he's such an important player that we want him fully right before he gets back into the team.
If you rush him back and he picks up an early knock or something, you've got him out for even longer, and at that point you're in the season. He's been out for pre-season, it's not a biggie. He was here last season. The back four in front of him is pretty much the same. Don't rush him back when you've got Dibble in there who's doing a good job in there, and like you say, the new goalkeeper, the third choice, you've got another goalkeeper to then go onto the bench, so don't rush him back. I'd be surprised if it's any later than September that we see him back.
Oh yeah, I'd expect to see him in August, but it's up to Christian Dibble to keep hold of the number 1 jersey, and that competition's got to be good, because there have been times I can't remember what got me onto it, but I was looking through some old lineups the other day, and the amount of times we didn't have a goalkeeper on the bench under Gary Mills, I think it was, and now we've got not only goalkeeper on the bench, but a goalkeeper of real quality too when Leighton and Dibble are fit.
Yeah, I think you're always taking a risk if you don't put a goalkeeper on the bench. Obviously, I think in the Football League you're allowed 7 substitutes, only down here you're allowed 5, so maybe you can see the reasoning behind that, but for me, anything can happen to your goalkeeper, so it's always good to have someone on there. And when Leighton's out, you've got your third choice to bring onto the bench as well. And like we said, we've seen him a couple of times in pre-season. He looks a decent keeper. Dibble, though, he's got to stake his claim for the, just because Rob Leighton's got number 1 doesn't mean that Dibble can't be that starting 11 goalkeeper.
Absolutely. I mean, Christian Dibble learned that the hard way last year, didn't he? He had the number 1 on his back and barely got to see it on the pitch, unfortunately. And that wasn't a reflection on him, that was purely a reflection on how well Rob Leighton did.
Yeah, he was so good last season.
Ben Woods, what was the score? I said Crewe won 1-0 this final pre-season game. He also does say, though, can't wait for Barrow. Neither can we. It's 1 week away till we are back at the racecourse in Vanarama National League action. We've had a positive summer of pre-season action, maybe not always results-wise, but certainly the things we've learnt about the players, the new players that have come in to get the end of last season out of the way. Seems now, luckily, a long, long time since we were up here. When we first came for pre-season, it still hurt, didn't it? It still hadn't been that long that we were up here on this very bench watching that unbelievable goal knock us out of the playoffs. We've got that out of the system now, and got to be challenging for the title. That has to be the aim, surely.
I'd say so. It's got to be the top spot this year. There's so many times where we've flirted with the top spot and then we've dropped off around the March-April time. It's happened. We'll speak about it. But this season, I think we say every year it's our year, don't we? We're Wrexham fans. We need to get out of this league, but you just feel like there's the signings that have come in. We've kept that back line. I think a lot of fans. I was speaking to a fan earlier that thought Sean Pearson might go. Defenders might go. Competition up there as well. I spoke about Osbo coming on. He wants to stake a claim as well. It looks like he's fallen behind. You've got Hooper, McIntosh, and then you'd probably say Oswell. So he needs to work his way up and impress. Didn't see all too much of him today.
No.
When he come on, but we weren't really attacking, were we?
No, it was a difficult situation, I guess, for Oswell to come into, wasn't it? Ben Woods, do you reckon we will get promotion? My heart says yes, and that's what I'm leaving it as.
Good idea. I'd say that.
Do you know if we are signing any more players before the season starts? Says Bailey Jones, Wrexham till I die. Blimey, there's a throwback in terms of names.
Yeah.
Do we know if anyone will sign any more players? Brian Hughes has suggested he's happy with the squad. That's not to say there won't be any more movement. I'd suggest we need to get players out if any players are going to come in now, though, because it's a big squad this. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the bench today. Adam Barton wasn't in the matchday squad, he was rested. Akil Wrights, Earl. Lots of options there. And I think not only have we got a big squad, we've got a good squad with quality in every single position now and competition for every single position. If I was Brian Hughes, I'd be very happy with the squad I've got and wouldn't be looking to add to it just yet, certainly not.
I'd be the same as that. I'd be surprised if he brings anyone in. Obviously, he's got the option of doing that. Is there a transfer window in this one? I don't think there is until March or something.
No, exactly, yeah, it's way into the season.
So I'd be surprised if he brings anyone in right now. I think maybe if we pick up an injury, then it's certainly something he'll look into. Loan signings as well. We haven't got nowhere near as many as we did last season, so that there's no limit that we're close to this season, so we can bring players in on loan if needs be. But yeah, like you say, it's players going out, and the only ones you can maybe see going out, not because they're not good enough for the team, but purely for experience, is Jack Thorne and Matty Sargent. They're the only two that I consider going out, and they'd only go out on loan.
Yeah, well, there is one who wasn't in the matchday squad, of course, Mike Fondop. He came for the team photo. He was centre stage on the team photo. In fact, those who saw him at the back, he hasn't featured in pre-season. I suspect that we might not see him next season either.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to talk about, isn't it? Because he started off last season so well, and people were thinking maybe he's the one. And then as the season went on, it was just his work rate just didn't seem to be there. I don't want to slate the player, but he just didn't. It just didn't seem to have that ability that he started off the season with. Obviously went to Maidenhead, I believe, at the end of last season on loan. He's still got a year on his contract. He's not been in a don't even believe he's been on the bench, has he? For
a little run out at Fleetwood, but he didn't go to Portugal, which I think was the telling thing, really, wasn't it? I mean, he had his visa issues last season, and that's the reason he didn't go, because ultimately we didn't see the youngsters go either due to logistical issues with making sure everybody went out there, had their rooms, etc. He started so well, he scored those goals, and then it just didn't seem to work out for him from then on, did it?
No, it didn't, and you feel frustrated for him because when we're seeing an interview with him, he is a nice lad, but it's just disappointing to see when a player comes in on a 2-year. It is what it is. You just got to move on, and like you say, yeah, he'd probably be one that goes out
on loan. Yeah, either out on loan or permanently.
Yeah. What was the question?
So Ben Wood says, who's the best striker at Wrexham? I thought, as we were discussing the likes of Oswald and Fondop, I'd throw it onto that one. My answer is neither of those two. It's JJ Hooper. Personally, for me, he's got to lead the line. I thought McIntosh has done well in this pre-season, but I was always under the impression McIntosh would be more of a winger or in these false 10 positions that we've heard so much about. And JJ Hooper, he missed a chance today. He missed 2 chances in fairness. One, beat the defender, just shrugged him aside at the front of the cop. Killed a shot in, which Will Jaskalainen saved. At the other end, he's gone round Jaskalainen after a superb through ball from James Jennings. Angled just against him, he's put it over into the Glendale University stand-in. I think, for me, if he can just get that match sharpness, the sort of sharpness we saw last season, then he's going to be a real asset for this club. I remember James Harrison on commentary on Mixlr earlier in pre-season saying that after we played Bromley last year, where Hooper had just gone on loan, Pearson came off the pitch. We were given the runaround that day, let's not make any bones about it. Sean Pearson apparently came off the pitch and was talking to the media teams who were waiting for the post-match interviews, and he just said, who on earth was that guy? Well, that guy's now our striker, and that's got to be a good thing going forward.
Absolutely. It's the same thing as what we said about Oswald when he signed, getting that first goal, and I think he'll get on a roll. He did well to create the 2 chances today, because I think he created them on his own pretty much, making the space for them. But yeah, going back to the question for who was our best striker, for me it is Hooper. McIntosh looked good when he come on. When I've seen him play, he battles hard, he works hard, he wins the ball back a fair amount as well and creates opportunities. But maybe, like you say, maybe more of one of the wide strikers that we're talking about rather than the actual number 9 of the team.
Yeah, got other options up there as well. Mark Harris played centrally a little bit today, although he is very much a wider player. Bobby Grant as well, just doing... Brian Hughes calls it his 2 number 10s, doesn't he? Which just in behind that one main striker. For me, as an out-and-out striker, Hooper Benwoods has said, I agree, he thinks he's good at holding the ball up and he's quick as well, absolutely. Mark Harris, though, to me, today, impressed me. He really, really hassled that defence in that first half when we were closing players down.
Yeah, he looked knackered by the end of the game, to be fair, but that was because he was working hard. Like you say, we saw a bit of strength and power in the first half. He had the ball played through to him. Poor touch, but made up for it. Got the pace, ran at the defender, dribbled and won a corner. And an opportunity in the second half where he was running and the player obviously pulled his shirt back, and that was disappointing to see, because it would have been good to see how what he did after that. He had the space, he had the time, the opportunity to either close in on the box and have a strike or work it to someone else. But yeah, he started off on the left, didn't he, in the first half, and the second half he stayed out on the left in the second half. But he came
interchanging occasionally in the middle. Yeah, he's versatile, isn't he? I think that's the key thing to take away. Another question about EJ04, how's Manny Smith's injury? The latest we heard on that, Brian Hughes said, if we get him back by Christmas, that would be a bonus. And when he does come back, he'll be like a new signing, which I think that answer was quite telling. We don't know any more to add to that. Of course, he's working away from the club as he tries to get fit. He was here for photo day. That was a positive, seeing him back in his Wrexham shirt after, it's been a long time out, isn't it? But we have the quality to cover him.
Yeah, we have.
Which is fortunate.
Yeah, we've got the quality now. You know, we got Lawler in purely for that reason, didn't we? Doug Farm did well, actually, when he came in for him, because it was away to Solihull, I believe, where he picked up that injury, Manny Smith. Yeah, it's disappointing. In his first spell at the club, he was fantastic, and it was a massive surprise to all Wrexham fans that he was allowed to leave and not offered a new contract. Obviously went to Gateshead, come back, had a solid season again. Picking up that injury, it was just... It was disappointing, and obviously he came back, didn't he? I think he played against Eastleigh, picked up another knock, and then he's been out ever since, so it's disappointing. Lawler's come in, obviously, for him, and done well. Chambers now, so you just wonder if Manny Smith comes back, where he is in the pecking order of the defenders, but Wrexham fans and staff know how good a defender he is when he is back fit.
Absolutely. It's another one, isn't it, that this gives him the time to get back and get right properly, which is big because it's a serious injury. He's had a bad knee injury and he's had an infection as well, as Brian Hughes has told us, and you don't want to rush back from something like that.
No, it's not something like that, not something where he's been out for so long and it is so serious, and if you come back early or too soon from it and you injure yourself even more, it could get even worse, and you don't want to think about that sort of stuff. So take your time. We've got people in the team who are performing well. There's no need to rush back. The Wrexham fans love him. Just take your time, get back, and when he's fit, see where we go from there.
Thank you for your questions. Really do appreciate the fact you've all been in touch and joining us on the live chat after the game. If I keep talking, I'm never going to stop, unfortunately, so we have to draw the line somewhere. Thank you very much for joining us. Make sure, if you can, you get to the racecourse next week. It's going to be a great occasion. That first game of the new season against Barrow. If you can't, the Wrexham AFC media team will be on Mixlr as we bring you every kick of the season live. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you again next week.